Hey guys, Michael here. So today is December 1st, so we are officially kicking off the Christmas season. So what better way to start than to create an ornament inside XCS? Stick around, let's get to it. Hey guys, so here we are in XCS and I want to share with you how to create a personalized Christmas ornament that you can create for, your friends, family, and actually maybe sell a few. So before we get started, let me point off a couple of things. So over here in the bottom, I have a way to share with you exactly what I'm pressing on the keyboard. For example, if I want to, let's say, insert an object and I want to copy that. So I'm going to do Control C on the keyboard. So if you see down there at the bottom, it actually shows you what I did. And if I pasted, I would do Control V and you'll see the last thing I did. So um, it'll stack them as I start doing this. So let's see, Control C, V, C, V. So the one at the bottom is what I did the most recent. So if I'm going too fast, you can always just follow along. What we're going to do today is actually make a simple ornament that you can actually personalize by adding someone's name, a child's name, a family name. But let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is insert a circle. So I'm going to come up here in the top left and say circle. Now, if you just click on the screen and drag, it's going to be a weird shape. If you hold down Shift, it'll actually make it a perfect circle. Otherwise, if you put it on a weird shape, you can come up here and modify the width and height of it. So let me unlock the lock and make this a 4-inch, or I'm sorry, let me switch this to millimeters, I mean to inches real quick because I'm in millimeters. And I'm going to make this a 4-inch circle. So 4 and 4. And we go ahead and lock that in place. So that way, if I change the size, it stays a perfect circle. But I want it 4 and 4. Let me override that. Okay, so that's the outside of my circle. Now I'm going to make an inside circle. Let me copy that, paste it, and I'm going to change the size of this to 3.5, so 3.5. Now I want to center these two, and I have the ability to drag and move it where I look for those crosshairs, and now I know it's centered, or select them both, go to align and horizontally align it, and then followed by a vertical alignment. So let me do this, and now they're aligned. Now, this little circle, what I want to do is actually use it as a cookie cutter to cut out that circle from the big circle. Because right now, if I actually use this and try to make, let's say, an engraving out of this, let me show you what it does. Let me select them both. It is one big solid circle, and I don't want that. I want to actually kind of use this to cut out that circle instead of like making two different full circles on top of each other. So to do that, this circle needs to be on top of the bigger circle. So how do you make sure what's what? Well, you can actually select that little circle and move it back in the center, and you can say arrange and bring to front. Now I know it's on top of, or brought it to the front of the one behind it. Now I can select them both, combine, subtract, and overlap. It is a solid piece now. And if you check it, you click on engrave, you can see, yeah, it's a solid piece, and now it looks like a donut. I used that smaller circle as a cookie cutter to cut out the bigger circle. So let's continue with our progress here in making a ornament. Now I want to insert a rectangle or a square at the top. Now there's two different options when inserting a square. You can go with a sharp pointed square. I'm going to hold down Shift key to make it a perfect square. I don't want those points on there. I kind of want them rounded. So underneath the shapes, you have the ability to select a rounded corner square. So holding down Shift, just clicking on it and dragging it, I'm going to have my rounded corner. Now, unfortunately in XCS, you cannot control the size of those radiuses on the corner. It is what it is, and that's okay. I'm fine with how that is, but I do want to make it smaller. So with this selected, I want to make this a 1/2-inch square. Now the problem with XCS, there is a bug in there where you cannot come up here at the top and change the size by typing 0.5. The point doesn't show up. So unfortunately, what you have to do is kind of drag this to get below that into the decimals. Then I can actually modify it and put 5, right? And this is off, so let me change this, unlock it so I can adjust them individually. take that out, and now it's 0.5 by 0.5. That is a small bug that there is an XCS that they're actually working on. So yeah, you can't go from a big number and just override that and just say I want to make it 0.5. The point doesn't work. So you see, I'm pressing down there in the bottom right. It's not typing it. So, but to get around that, you can drag it and get it below that mark, and now I can actually adjust it. So let me make it 0.5 on both sides, and I'm going to move it in place. Now I want this centered. Now these horizontal lines that pop out, let me zoom in a little bit for you. These horizontal lines that pop out like that, that kind of helps you guide it and it snaps in place. But if you don't want to do that, if you're using an object that's kind of hard to work with that, you can actually select them both, align and horizontal line, and now I know it's centered horizontally. Now I do want to lift this square up a little bit, so using my arrow keys, I'm just going to nudge that up a little bit. All right, so let's join these two pieces together. Highlight them both, combine, unite. So we're starting to look like an ornament. Now, next thing I want to do is I want to add another circle up here with another circle cut out in the middle of it. So I'm going to click on Insert, Circle, and I'm going to draw it, but then I'm going to change the size. So I'm going to make it 0.5 again. Let me unlock the lock. Let me backspace. 0.5 and whoops, 5. There we go. Now let's make a donut inside there. So let me copy and paste it. And I'm going to make this one 0.2. So let me 0.2, 0.2. Let me put that on top of this one. Let me subtract it. So I'm going to make a donut again. Now there's my donut. I can double check it by hitting engrave, by selecting them both and hitting engrave, and you can see, is it a donut or not? And it is. Now let me put it on top of my ornament. I'm going to use the alignment grid there. I know it's in the center, and I'm going to move it down using the arrow keys. I like the way that looks. Let me highlight them both, combine, and unite. So we already have the start of our ornament. Now I could stop there and just make a circle. You know, I'm done with the ornament. However, we want to personalize this. We want to add someone's name in the middle of this. So I interrupt this tutorial real quick to show you something. I'm not sure if you've actually noticed this, but if you actually go to any of my YouTube videos here and actually expand the content or the description of that video, you'll see a lot of information down there that's actually really helpful. I do show the links to the products I'm showing on the video itself. And one important thing that I think is really handy to any new M1 user is this link right here. So what this link does, it actually takes you to this website right here. So what this website is just a Google Sheet that actually I share with you all. This is a working Google Sheet. Now the first sheet that you see here, this is a sheet with links and whatnot. But if you come down here at the bottom, you can see that I have all of my settings. So the settings here are for different materials, the speed, the power, number of passes, all the stuff I use in my day-to-day. This is actually a working document. So as I'm actually using this sheet and find something that works better for me, I'll come over here and actually adjust this sheet. Use it in your shop if you want to. It works well for me. Also in the bottom, I have some additional information like, you know, how to make a sandwich in your M1, cleaning it, over focusing, how do you cut thicker material. That's actually a really handy one. Acrylics, all about acrylics and diode lasers in general, not just the M1. It affects any diode laser. Also, I have a handy, in case you need it, it's more for me, millimeters to inches conversion table, and I have these yellow fields here that you can actually modify and get your own conversion. Instead of Googling it, I just have it right here on the screen. And then finally, right here on the bottom side, I have some comments. So this is just a place for people to leave a kind word or whatever on there. I do read these and appreciate these, so you don't have to, but I just do have that option here. So yeah, I did want to interrupt this tutorial just to show you that I do have this available. It is inside the description of the videos that I put out on the M1. And of course, I have some additional information down here at the bottom and some additional links. The xTool links down here are affiliate links, so if you happen to want to buy more material from the xTool website, I would appreciate it if you actually went through my link right there. So what my link does, it doesn't cost you anything, but it does give me a little bit of kickback and helps me build this channel and gives me a little bit more incentive. So yeah, I just want to share that with you. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, let's stop for a second. Go ahead and do that right now. Like this video, and let's move on with this tutorial. So what I'm going to do is copy this. I don't want to lose this and have to redraw this one. So I'm going to copy this, copy and paste. And the one that I copied, the original, I'm actually going to push that off to the side and not use it right now, but I want to save it in case I want to do multiple names later on. So I'm going to save this one, and I'm just going to turn off the output over here off to the right. What that's going to do is keep it on the screen, but if I ever send this to the machine will not make that one right there because this one, the output's turned off. However, this one, it would make because the output's turned on. So let's personalize this, okay? Let's add a name across the middle of this. So I'm going to click on text, click on the screen, and I'm going to write the word Michael. Now, let me zoom in by holding down Control and the mouse wheel. Selecting it, I want to change the font because it needs to be joined together like a cursive word. So let me drop this down and show you the font that I use quite often. This is Brush Script M7, and I use that quite often, but take a look at this. As you can see, let me blow this up so we can zoom in a little bit better. As you can see here, this is not a single piece. If you actually tried to cut this word out, it would break apart because it's going to follow the lines that you see here. So we need to join this into a solid word. Now, XCS, there is another bug in here that they're working on. This used to work in some previous versions of XCS, but it no longer works where we can join these. So how do we get around combining this and make it a single word? It's a pain, but here's how it works. Let me copy this and paste it. I'm going to modify this text. So up here on the right, I'm going to take it out and just leave the letter M. Okay. I'm going to copy the M and copy it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more times. So here we go. So copy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I pasted it using Control V 6 more times. And I'm just going to move them out here. And so now we have to spell out the word Michael, individual letters. So here we go. I, C, H, A, E, L. Now you'll probably do it a different way, but it was just easier for me to just copy and paste it real quick. So let's put it together. M-I-C-H-A-E-L. Now I need to kind of put these in order and make it look nice. So what I'm doing is kind of keeping them in the same order but squishing them up. And I'm going to use my top word as a guide. Let me move this over a little bit. And what I'm doing is kind of lining up the left-hand side of the M with the top M and the L with the L over here. And then I'm going to use something called distribute. And it's going to evenly space those letters to evenly distribute between the first letter and the last letter. Select them all, align, distribute horizontally. When I do that, take a look at that. So it actually spread them out evenly, and I can do some fine tuning right there. So this is all because of the silly bug we have in XCS right now. Before, what you could do was copy this word, paste the word, and put it on top of each other and unite, and all of a sudden it's a solid word. It's like 3 simple steps. But now we had to put individual letters. So that's a pain. It can be done, but this is how, it's a pain. So let me zoom in, holding down Control, and let's make these letters like evenly space out a little bit more. So the L, let me scoot that over. I just want to be able to kind of tag each one of them or just kind of catch each one of them a little bit. I could use the arrow keys, and that's one way to do it, or you can drag. The H, no, okay, let's see what happens here. The C needs to be touching to the I, and of course the I needs to touch to the M. Now, what I need to do is actually align the bottom of them, make sure they're all in line with each other. So let me select them all, align bottom. So now we're back to what we have here, only we have individual letters. Now, our next step is to make it a single word. You can select it, combine, unite, and there you go. It's one word now. It's actually going to cut out that word as you see right there. It's a long way to go to get that done on XCS. I really hope they fix that bug. It's a lot easier in outside third-party software such as Inkscape. However, I'm trying to do everything we can do inside XCS. So let's go back to our ornament and make the word actually fit that ornament. So let me drag this over here, and I'm going to resize this word. I'm just going to grab a corner and start making it fit and zoom in using the control key. Let me delete this one. I really don't need this one anymore, so I'm just get it out of the way for simplicity's sake. All right, so I'm going to keep the height. Now, if I did this, it actually changes height and width. So let's just change the width. To do that, you have to unlock it. And now I can change the width. Now, I do want to change the height a little bit because it's actually a little bit too tall, I think. So now that we've unlocked it, the width and height adjustments are separate from each other. So one doesn't affect the other. All right, now I want this L to catch this part on this circle. So I'm going to stretch it out a little bit more like that. I'm going to come down because I don't like that circle, cutting off that. So let me come down a little bit. There we go. I think that looks better. Now on the M side, I don't like this little tail. I'm going to actually bring it in just enough to hide that tail. All right, let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, so now with the word in there the way I want it, I can join them just like it did the shapes. I can select everything, combine, and unite. Now, if I take a look at that and switch it to engrave, I can see this is what the wood would look like when it cuts out on the M1. And I think that's perfect. So what I can do is actually cut this out and I'm finished. I can use that as my ornament. However, I want to go a step further and I want to put a back behind this. So, and I keep switching between score and engrave just to kind of show you what the wood would look like if you cut it out and this would be a solid piece of wood. That's all I'm showing you. Let's switch over to millimeters real quick. And I'm doing that because I want to do an offset or an outline of this. And I use millimeters to kind of help me gauge that. So selecting this object, I'm going to pick outline. And I'm going to change this to 3 millimeters. Select up here. There we go, 3, and hit OK. And if you see that line right there around it, what it's doing is outlining that object. If you set it to 0, it's going to hug right against that object. But if I set it to 3, it's going to offset 3 millimeters outside of that object. So let me hit OK. So now I have 2 objects. I have the front piece and I have the back piece. So now I can maybe take that back piece and paint it red, and I had the front piece and I can paint it white. Now there is one more piece that I'm missing here is the circle. If I don't put a circle in this, I will be missing out. I won't be able to thread that string in there. So let me put it back the way it was. I'm going to do Control Z just to undo my move. Let me zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to insert a circle. And I remember that this one circle was 0.2. So let me put that here. Now, I was in inches when I did this. You have to kind of flip back and forth if you're not paying attention. And I'm going to make this, let me unlock it, 0.2, 0.2. There we go. I'm going to move this using my arrows. There we go, 0.2. Perfect. So it lines up with the other one. Let me move my name out of the way. And I can either highlight these and group these, or I can use this as a cookie cutter and cut it out. That way it's a single piece. So now we have the final product. I have 2 pieces that I can set them both to cut and cut them out of some 3mm basswood. I can take this piece on the left and paint it red, green, whatever, and I can paint this maybe white or something, or do a reverse, whatever you want to do. You can actually put some glitter on the back of this thing, just make a nice little ornament. And this is personalized. It will work for anybody. Hopefully you found this tutorial helpful. I'll see you next time.